You ever get the feeling that the old advice for getting rich, just work hard, save your pennies, doesn't really work anymore? Yeah, you're not wrong. The game has totally changed. So today, we're going to break down a modern playbook for building wealth, one that's based on some brutally honest advice. All right, let's get into it.
So, picture this. It all starts in a little cafe. You've got Jake, this young guy, super ambitious, working his tail off to pay for college. He sees this older, well-dressed man, we'll just call him Mr. Grumpy, and he works up the nerve to ask him for some advice on how to get ahead in life. And what does Mr. Grumpy do? He pretty much just scoffs at him, goes on this rant about how the younger generation is lazy and has no clue what real work is. Sound familiar? And this is a clash we see all the time, right? On one side, you have that Mr. Grumpy perspective, that young people today are just lazy and entitled. But the reality is so much different. People like Jake are trying to navigate a world that is way more complicated. I mean, juggling school and a job, planning for a future with all sorts of new challenges. It's a whole different ballgame. And that whole scene in the cafe, it perfectly captures the problem we're talking about today. It's the old advice clashing with a completely new world. The rules have been rewritten, and the roadmap our parents and grandparents used, well, it just doesn't lead to the same places anymore. So let's just get this out of the way. If you're in your 20s and you feel like you have absolutely nothing figured out, guess what? That is completely 100% normal. The school system, let's be honest, it didn't really prepare you for this stuff. You are literally just getting started. So feeling a little lost doesn't mean you're behind. It probably means you're right on track. So what is the first real practical step in this new playbook? Well, it all comes down to principle number 1. First, you sharpen your axe. This idea is so powerful because it flies in the face of all that get-rich-quick nonsense. It's about getting your tools ready before you even think about trying to chop down the tree. And you can really see the two paths here. So many people hear, I want to be rich, and their first thought is, I'll start a business. But jumping into that without any real skills, that's like trying to cut down a giant tree with a dull, rusty axe. You'll just exhaust yourself and get nowhere. The right path, the smarter path, is to first become an absolute master of a high-income skill. And we're not talking about learning some outdated trade here. We're talking about skills that are in massive demand right now. Things like video editing or copywriting, which is basically the art of writing to sell stuff. Or maybe high-ticket closing, where you learn to sell premium products. Or, of course, software development. These are skills that businesses are practically begging for, and they'll pay a ton for them. Because if you can get really good at just one of these skills, you can hit a very real, very tangible target, $10,000 a month. And let's be real, that's the kind of income that fundamentally changes your life. It gives you the freedom and the capital you need for everything that comes next. But here's the kicker, and this is maybe the most important part. It's not just about the money. The real power of developing a valuable skill is that it opens doors. It puts you in rooms with successful people. It gives you access to information and opportunities you would never, ever see otherwise. That network, that knowledge, that's often worth way more than the cash itself. Okay, so you've sharpened your axe, you're bringing in a great income with your new skill, but earning the money is only half the battle. Now what do you actually do with it? Well, that takes us to principle number 2. Let your money work for you. This is the big shift from hustling for every dollar to having your dollars hustle for you. I absolutely love this analogy. Just think of your money as a big stack of cookies. The more you touch it, move it around, mess with it, trying to time the market, day trading, all that stuff, the more it just crumbles away into little pieces from fees and mistakes. The secret is to put it somewhere safe and just let it grow. Now, letting it grow might sound a little boring or passive, but it is unbelievably powerful. Just how powerful? Well, how does something as small as $250 a month turn into more than $1.5 million? It's not magic, it's something even better, compounding. Let's just break down the numbers here. It's wild. If you invest just $250 every single month into a simple S&P 500 index fund, which historically has returned about 10.98% a year, and you just leave it alone for 40 years, you just let it do its thing through all the market's ups and downs, that consistency in time can turn that small investment into over $1.5 million. Seriously. And that right there brings us to your single biggest advantage, your superpower, time. When you're young, you can afford to take some smart, calculated risks because you have decades for your portfolio to recover from any bumps in the road. Your goal is all about growth. For someone older, the game changes completely. It becomes about protecting what they have. So if you have time on your side, you have to use it. It's the most valuable asset you've got. But look, you can have the best skills in the world and the perfect investment strategy, but it won't matter if your internal software is all messed up. You'll just find a way to screw it up. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most critical piece of the puzzle. Principle 3, mastering the millionaire mindset.
You ever heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect? It's this bizarre quirk of the human brain where our confidence is actually highest when our knowledge is lowest. It's a place a lot of people call Mount Stupid. And the reason most people never build any real wealth is because they get stuck on top of that mountain, totally convinced that getting rich is just a matter of luck. And that arrogance is the very thing that prevents them from learning what it actually takes.
So what's the fix? How do you get off Mount Stupid? It's simple, but it's not easy. You have to become a lifelong learner. Think of it like giving your brain regular software updates. The world is changing so fast, and if you stop learning in your 20s, your knowledge gets outdated. You're running on old software, and you're gonna get left behind. And a huge part of those software updates comes from who you surround yourself with. It's not just a saying. A 2024 study actually found that your social circle has a direct, measurable effect on your bank account. For every 10% increase in wealthy friends a person had, they were 3% more likely to invest and 5% more likely to save. Who you're around literally shapes your financial habits. So let's bring it all home. We've talked about sharpening your axe with skills that actually pay, letting your money do the heavy lifting for you through compounding, and getting your mind right. The message here is clear. You can forget all that outdated advice from the Mr. Grumpies of the world. Your time is right now, and the opportunity is absolutely there for the taking. And I want you to remember this. You are the future. Your generation, your ideas, your energy, that is what's going to shape what comes next. So please, don't be afraid to take those calculated risks and go after the life you actually want. Look, none of this matters if it's just theory. It's all about action. So the real question I have for you is this. After hearing this new playbook, what's the first step you're going to take? What's the one skill you'll start sharpening today?